Everybody, and welcome to Hyper Interviews, in Globe Technology space dedicated to interviewing relevant people in the field of new technologies. Today, I'm pleased to interview Alessandro Marianantoni, who is a designer and entrepreneur. He's an Italian based in the US since many years now. So welcome, Alessandro.
Welcome. Thank you, Mirko.
So can you please introduce yourself and also explain us how did you end up living and working in Los Angeles?
So yeah, so I'm Alessandro Marianantoni. I'm a founder of Meteors LLC here in Los Angeles as an Accelerator, but both came a little later. So it was 2002. I was a student at computer science at the University of L'Aquila in Italy, and I thought that going abroad to do my thesis would have been a great experience. So the story is actually about a couple of emails. So I selected a few research centers between Japan and California, and I got a few offers from California. That's how I ended up here. And at that time was the University of Southern California here in Los Angeles. And with that experience, thanks to those emails, I did my first 6 months as a visiting scholar and doing my thesis in computer vision at the time. It was a very, it was a great, completely new world, new language. The English was really poor. I mean, the English that I knew about was primarily the ones that we used to code and few songs from the blues and the rock. So that's the English that I knew. Actually, my supervisors at that time were French, so I started speaking French with them. But then after a couple of weeks, I changed it. Okay, let's try to learn some English here. But yeah, it was several years ago. After USC, I came back, I discussed my dissertation, and then I sent a couple of more emails, and I got hired at UCLA. They were building a research center. It's a joint research initiative between the School of Theater, Film and Television and the School of Engineering at the University of California in Los Angeles. And I worked there for about 10 years. It was a great experience. So at the beginning, it was a small group. So essentially, you do a little bit of everything. And I was able to grow in terms of technical skills, but also I had a lot of time to put into an art career. So thanks to the the environment, the community, artist community, and designers community over there at UCLA and here in California, I got really exposed to that environment, and definitely was a big component of my development as a designer.
Yeah, so you have become an interaction design expert. And would you explain us why interaction design is relevant for immersive technologies? I can only imagine that there is a lot to take into account when you design a new product, a new mixed reality product, especially when you're dealing with devices like, for example, headsets. How much is this discipline important in this process?
So like I was saying before, my background. So I started coding 3D experiences since I was in Italy. I remember we were using the first versions of Micromedia Director, and I think it was 1999 when I did a very playable. It was a sort of a game situation, but it was an exploration on a museum. With content generated by kids of the elementary school, and then we made a CD-ROM. And for the Italians there, the project was sponsored by Regione Lazio, so it was one of those first projects over there. Then when I came over here, I was at the research center. I was located inside a studio, TV studio in the film school. So I got a great deal of knowledge from just working there, working with directors, screenwriters, with the schools itself, and the theater also. So my approach to immersive experiences came also a great deal of art interactive installations made with video projections. And those kind of video projections for me were really, really exciting to create and design. And I was putting a lot of, let's say, concepts into designing interactive, immersive video projections experiences. So in the physical space, in the real space. So it was a perfect combination between virtual on the screen, on the content of the video projectors, and on the physical experiences of the participants. And it was a lot. I mean, it was a lot of work. We also used, because of my background in electronics, so we also used a lot of sensors. So it made it really, really rich in terms of resources. And the exposure of the art world over here. Then later I became also board member of a very old video art no-profit association, Free Waves, here in Los Angeles. I also remember to be exposed to the work of Spodova, a European set designer, Namjoon Paik, American Korean artist here. So I would say that that experience over there really helped me out in crafting and creating personalized, immersive experiences. Later on, we start moving all of that into the 3D virtual space. So I went back inside the computer, like the first games, 3D games that I used to play and work with for the Commodore 64. Nowadays, it's a lot more about those, right? So I would say that definitely my background, it's on that regards, besides being highly technical, there's also a lot of art.
That's very, very interesting. Your multidisciplinary background surely helped you in this process. So, Alessandro, let me ask you one last question. You manage a project called the Accelerator in Los Angeles. And what is this project about? What do you do in your day-to-day job?
Yeah. Looking, you call it project, and it's fun just because the other day I was describing. If I look back and I see what is that I have done, it's just a series of projects, one after the other one. Accelerators so far is probably the longest one, and definitely the one that I'm really proud. It's like a consolidation of all the experiences that I had in creating programs and helping others with their projects. Essentially, 4 years ago, I had this idea of putting together a team of coaches to work and help our participants with their entrepreneurial projects. So startups, essentially. So right now we run Accelerator is a company. It's a spin-off of Meteors. And we run ideation, early stage and later stage programs for entrepreneurs. And we help them with the several stages of the startup development. And we use this approach, like you you call it multidisciplinary. So we use this multidisciplinary approach, and definitely with a strong base of human-centric design, thanks also to our lead business coach, Scott Hindle, which is a column of our program. And so far, we had actually quite interesting success. I mean, 250 participants from 20 countries, and we helped them to raise around $16 million. We also opened it last spring, not definitely during the easiest times, but we opened an investment fund. It's a two-tiered investment fund with $15 and $40 million for early stage startups. Mm-hmm. So it's been really exciting, and I see it as a sort of a consolidation, putting together a lot of the past experiences and working with a lot of people and young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, interesting experiences and numbers also that you told us. So, Alessandro, I think we have come to the end of our interview. Thank you very much for this interesting conversation. And thanks everybody for watching, and see you in the next episode of Hyper Interviews.
Thank you, Mirko. Thank you, everyone.